Bruh,
Yes,
man, talk about first of all, how you living?
I'm living good, man. How you living?
I'm stressed. I'm stressed. I'm trying to focus. I'm trying to get look. I apologize, folks. We are running on some backup generators tonight. Um, had to flashback to some old school technology. I didn't restarted the show. Started the show. Didn't have the right link. Ooh, let me just
Oh,
take a
yeah, man,
pause right
take a
quick.
sip of that cold one, man. Take a sip of
Hmm.
that cold one. I want to give a shout out to Simon Fraser University,
God, dog, it's Simon
Canada,
Frazier.
and then I also want to give a shout out to Southwest Minnesota State University in
Yeah.
Marshall, Minnesota.
Okay. Man, look, we gonna go ahead and get into it because we already CP time, a 9 minutes late because your boy is doing some different things, but we live everywhere.
Yes,
So um, you said your son is going to school, getting ready to play a little football. Let me start with that because that's
yeah.
most important, man. I know we were talking about you posting some videos of the young man getting some work in the gym. So what position he play? He on an
He's a
offset.
he's a running back, a
Okay,
slot receiver, athlete, a punt returner, kick returner for hopefully for the University of Southwest Minnesota.
love it.
Um, Going out there, man, is just kind of do his thing, man. Just kind of get his opportunity, play a little bit of Division II football. It's a really good conference they play in. He's just ready to get out there and showcase his talent, man.
I
Get
love
ready to
it.
rock and roll.
Love it, man. That's what's important too, right?
Yeah,
Getting out there, getting back to his craft, getting back to what he enjoys doing. And I know you excited yourself. I know you all swagged
oh
out.
man,
You
all smiles, man, all grill right here, all
yeah,
grill,
I love
all
it.
grill, man. Love, just man, I'm blessed, man. I'm 2 for 2. Well, actually 3 for 3. So my older son, he went to University of San Diego. He played
Okay.
football. My nephew played at Mayville State. And now my youngest boy. This is his opportunity. My last hoorah. He's going to go play at Southwest Minnesota State. So man, I've been blessed to have 3 for 3 go out there. They earn their degrees, they play ball. So now, it's his turn up. He's next man up. So, now my daughters are next. So working on them to get ready to get their craft and get ready to go
I,
to school as
I
well.
love it. I love it. Folks, we see you coming in. Again, we apologize for the tardiness. You can blame that on me. See, there we go. There go our,
Yeah,
our, our
yeah,
default hello.
yeah. There they
You,
go. Yeah, I
eh,
knew it. I knew it. We ain't live unless Papa Hicks go ahead and
yeah,
chime in.
yeah, we not live until the end, boy. But I could tell you about the little kerfuffle we had. I mean, that's a new word that we had for me getting started. But let's get into them stories, man. We got a
Yeah,
lot of things that's going on. We always hit. Man, social impact of sport. We're not just talking about scores and things of that nature. We got some hard hitting stories today. Shouts out to you. We see your brother Nixon in the building. Yes, sir. We're not going to talk about the Jaguars tonight, but we're going to talk a little football. So we're going to leave your boy T-Boy alone this, this week. This week. We get on him next time, but
yeah,
we're not going to mess with him today. So let me go ahead and bring this up here, and let's start with this story right here, man.
yes.
NFL to stop the race norming. $1 billion settlement for CTE and brain injuries, concussions, and things of that nature. This is a huge deal, right? I'm gonna say we broke this story a number of weeks ago already. So CBS, Fox, ESPN, everyone, y'all need to tune in to Team No Sleep because we already broke this. We talked about this and
Yep.
made it a conversation piece and talked about the importance of this. Montel, get into some specifics, though, man. While I scroll down for
I,
folks
I,
so
I,
they understand.
yeah, this is truly very important, especially for the former players that played in the NFL and those that did suffer some brain injuries and those that suffered some trauma to their brain. Before it was 2 sets of criteria how they surveyed or how they evaluated white players versus black players.
Hmm.
And this is what this lawsuit is all about. A lot of white players were getting their claims passed through because they were getting looked at in a certain circumstance or being evaluated a different way. Where African American players and other men of color that were players, they were getting evaluated and getting denied claims, getting denied medical bills, and getting denied help. The NFL had first denied that they weren't doing social norming, that everything was okay, everything was on the up and up, but
Hmm.
actually they were doing social norming, and this is the lawsuit that proves it. The kind of I'll call it hush money. They don't want this to bring up. They don't want this
Yeah,
black eye.
yeah.
on their organization. But obviously there's things going on. We see with CTE going on with some of the older players because the equipment was different. It wasn't as safe. Got a lot of guys live with their head and all the trauma that came with it. And then we hear about these former players. I hate to admit it, like the situation that happened in I think one of the Carolinas where the gentleman, they believe he had CTE or some kind of head trauma from football, and he ended up killing those people. We also know the Junior Seau story. Him ultimately committed suicide due to they feel there's some CTE issues and all this. They, like I said, those people weren't able to get help because of the evaluation they were given was different than white players. So they weren't able to get the help beforehand, or they were getting denied claims and all that stuff. So now the NFL, I believe, has done the right thing, donated $1 million, or at least settled for $1 billion in the settlement. So now former players that are going through these traumas can get the help that they need, get the money they need to help pay the doctor bills. And then hopefully from now on, they stop the normal where people can claim and go forth from there. So this is big for people that played in the NFL or people that have aspirations, because this thing is going to go on. Anybody that played in there and you can become a former NFL player, this is going to relate to you if you have any kind of head trauma or any kind of brain injury that goes forth from now on.
Yeah, I mean the fact that this actually is retroactive as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So not just current cases that may be open, but actually going back and looking at any like you say legacy players that were in the league. So I think that's huge in terms of probably finally getting their due, their justice, day in court, their day in medicine, whatever the case may be. But it's unfortunate that some folks had to lose their life already because of the race norming and the fact that the NFL didn't pay attention and
I think they paid attention. I think they had two sets of criterias.
Wow. Okay.
And
I agree with that too. Yeah.
They just went with it. They went with whatever their doctors or their psychiatrists or wherever they wanted to go with. They had two different criteria. Let's be perfectly honest. This is hush money. There's no doubt about it. The NFL does not want this stain on them because the majority of their lead is men of color. True. Period. It is what it is. The majority of men that are coming into the league are men of color. So to say that you have two sets of criteria for two different type of players, and majority of your white players get these settlements when there's an issue and get help, and the African Americans or Latinos and those guys don't get help, that's a big stain on their eye. And they, the NFL has competition coming up with all these other startup leagues coming in. People they don't need this type of negative press or negative the cloud over them. So they paid $1 billion to give the hush money to make sure that doesn't happen. And now, and it's the right thing. It's not. Let's be clear. It is the right thing to do. But it's more. I think it's more hush money than anything to bring that they were doing this for so many years.
The story for folks who probably haven't had a chance to read this, it says it came out of a civil rights lawsuit that came from 50,000 petitions that were delivered by a group of NFL families to the NFL, so they can finally get this done. I agree with you that again it's long overdue. It's again trying to keep it. NFL is probably doing something to try to keep this out of the limelight even more than it already is. I don't want to, better late than never. I'm trying to figure out a way of dancing around this, but it's not worth dancing around. It's finally time that just happened. Yeah. I just wondered now about other sports as well. Will they see this as an example and fix the race norming, fix any issues that they have around the owners' tables, around the around those conversations, right? In terms of how they treat their players, their stars, just anyone who's contributing, anyone who's out there putting their bodies on the line for.
Yeah. And definitely, the evaluation should be. I mean, it should be a human being evaluation. It shouldn't be whether you're white, black, green, orange, purple, or green. It should be a human evaluation because all these men, put their careers on the line, put their bodies on the line, and just help to make sure we're entertained by watching the sport. So I hope there's no other race norming in any other sport. I don't think there is. I haven't heard anything. Matter of fact, the first time I've ever heard of the term or heard about it was when this kind of came out. So that they had these two different criteria for their players, and one was Caucasian and one was for the African American players. So hopefully, like you said, better late than never. They stepped up to the plate. they did the right thing they were supposed to do, and I think they're doing the right thing to make sure they sweep it under the rug, so this isn't a top story anymore, and they can just kind of go forth with business is static quo, as they would say. So, but this is big. I think this is a big thing especially for former players. It's huge.
Definitely. So hopefully everyone will get their get their money, get their care as well as primarily get the care that they need. So
Yes.
Staying in football, you were excited about this.
Yes.
You were excited about this right here.
Man, this is a big deal. This is a big deal on a lot of different scales. I think I watched the interview with Doug Flutie this morning on I forgot the one with Joy Taylor and the other guy. I forgot his name, but he was on there talking about this. The USFL is coming back. They got a contract with Fox Sports. The person that's bringing it back is the founder or CEO of the Spring League. This on TV now that people watch. This is going to bring so much opportunity in so many facets and generate a whole new revenue stream, especially if it's successful. I know they were talking about how successful the USFL was when it first came out, and when our orange president kind of killed it because he couldn't get in. But what I didn't realize, the successful and the talent level that they had there was great. I mean, I didn't know the first year the USFL kind of merged into the NFL that 15 players were NFL all-star, all-pro level. They played in the NFL all-star game. So the level of quality was there. I know, talking with the interview they had today, the USFL are right now are okay with being kind of the development lead for the NFL until they can kind of get their feet up under them, give all these other players that are coming out and more of an opportunity, give coaches more of an opportunity,
right.
Give front office people more of an opportunity, and also I think provide opportunities for minority ownership within there. You got to think this employs those people in the stadiums all year round now, serving beer, serving popcorn. It has referees all year round. The TV contract alone is going to employ more cameramen, more people out on the field, more announcers. This is going to be a really strong development league all the way around to kind of get into now the big boys in the NFL. Yeah. I really like the avenue of providing minority ownership. I think I know they have a lot of money and to be ownership is good, but I think there's a thought process of being ownership as well. You got to understand where your money's going. How do you make it? I think this is the perfect opportunity for minorities to get their foot in on the ground floor, learn how to become ownerships, learn how that revenue stream, opens up. And as this league grows, the money grows, and the more money grows for them. And let's be real, no one loses money in these big leagues. No one does.
True. That's true.
The TV contract is going to cover everything they need to do with all their expenses.
Especially with someone big as Fox. Right? Fox Sports, I mean, you got that whole big 800-pound gorilla behind you, so you know it's going to get prime time everywhere.
It's going to get prime time during the springtime when there's no football. Yeah. It's going to be a league where players that do really well can go to the NFL. It's going to open up for your favorite college players that didn't quite make it to get an opportunity to showcase their talent and develop their skills so they can go to the NFL. But I do believe after a while, if it's as successful as it was before, that it can start to become a competitor with NFL. And I think the difference will be you will be able to have minority owners. I know we hear, Jay-Z and Master P and, a lot of those entertainers and a lot of former athletes that really would be successful talk about they want to get into ownership. I think it's best to get in on the ground floor because now you can teach a lot of things. I know you can understand what scouting is working with, how to scout and evaluate talent. You can understand how the coaches in the front administration works. You can understand what you need to do to have, development, developing your players, what coaching staffs need, what your marketing team needs, what your social media needs. These are all going to be ground floor things that they can break in and do it their way because now they can become ownership. Even though it's a minor league team, there's money to be made at that level as well as of right now until it becomes a big time professional league. So I'm excited about it, man. I just like the opportunities that are there.
Yeah, but you think about it, right? Yeah, it's minor league. Yeah, it's the D League for NFL. But again, to get to the level still of playing for the USFL, you still got to go out there and you got to have some skills. So these folks that are lacing them up and suiting up, they're no joke, right? So definitely some folks with some skills, and definitely the ones that are going to be called up to from spring training and from the AAA and all of that to be the next ones out there.
We already know. I mean, when you get to that level, you're a professional. You're getting paid to play, and I don't care who you are, if you make it to that level to be paid to play, you got to have some talent. Obviously, you got to have some talent. I like it not only from the player standpoint, because there's a bunch of players that are going to be able to play and fill those rosters and do good things. I'm liking the aspect with the opportunity for the coaches. Now these coaches that are in college that want to go to the professional, now you have kind of a window to buffer yourself to be able to understand how you run a professional team, how you coach at the professional level, how you deal with these athletes. Not only from there, then you go from the front office. How do you work with the front office people? Because it's a lot different. Agents now can kind of work with their, you can't just be an agent and jump to the major league to jump to the NFL and think you go discuss contracts. Now this is a ground floor for them to discuss how to discuss contracts, how to understand how the league works, how caps work. I mean, all this stuff is a learning process in the business realm, and these are all opportunities going to be open.
Yeah.
Now, the more the merrier for people to get in and be able to develop these things and be able to do things their own way. Like how to be a GM. If you can build a winning team there, you might get the opportunity to go build a winning team at the NFL level. So I'm so excited about the opportunities that are coming along the way, and more so for minority ownership, because we know we don't have it in the NFL, and those good old boys ain't letting us in. Right? True. They're not going to let us in. Yeah. Yeah. This is a way to be able to say, hey, I would love for Jay-Z to have own a team, Master P to own a team, and to be able to put their stamp in their marketing brand and help this league grow super fast and be in good strength, and use their brands to make these things just as competitive as the NFL, but just be a spring league and do some good things. So I'm very excited about it because, like I said, man, any opportunity for all people, especially for our people, to be able to get in and get in that level, I'm all for it.
Yeah, it's definitely early on. USFL2.com shows nothing except for coming. There's no swag, there's no gear. I wouldn't look at the site. There's just nothing there yet. But I like the pivot you're making about ownership and about coaching and about GMs and things of that nature. I want to ask about something that we saw Coach Deion Sanders talk about, and which is still troubling to me, the fact that there were no players from an HBCU drafted this year. And I wonder, we want to talk about owning, we want to talk about those types of things and actually having skin in the game, but this could now be that location for those players that got mistakenly overlooked. This could now be their time to come out and shine. This could be their location to come out and show theirs. I'm bringing my skills to the USFL.
Like you said, I think it's very prevalent for the Division III, the Division II levels players, the Division I AA players, HBCUs, and all the above. And people get really. I think a lot of people don't understand, like college football. When you're 17 years old, 18 years old, you're still in the development stages of your body. You haven't grown into your body yet. You haven't peaked who you're going to be as an athlete. Some people have, some people haven't, but majority of us haven't. The ones that have are the ones that go to Division I. The guys that are peaking, the guys that are very big, they're already, in a grown man's body at the age of 17, 18 years old. Those guys are there. But some guys don't develop to the 20, 21, 20, in those the early 20s. And now you put a level of a guy that's a Division III player that's 22, I'll put him up against a Division I player, because now he's grown into his body. He understands his athleticism. He knows how to do things. He's played against other grown men. He understands himself. Now, the Division I player may have all the skill set in the world and may be better, but I guarantee that guy Division III can't compete at that level. That's where you're going to see in these leagues, these guys from smaller schools being able to have an opportunity to compete against guys, and some of them are going to even shine and outshine some of the guys that were at a big level because they're hungrier. They've always been told they weren't good enough. I think those opportunities are going to present themselves big time. I think this will, like you said, be that pathway. When there aren't HBCUs drafted in the NFL, they'll go to the USFL, develop themselves, and then they'll get opportunities to go to the NFL or stay where they're at. That's why I think it's going to be very important to have minority ownership, because if you can cultivate that environment the way they want to stay and what they want to do, then you build that league. And I believe a lot of these guys, and I hope even NFL players get into the mix. I hope Mahomes buys a team in the USFL. I hope Russell Wilson buys a team in the USFL. So, excuse me. I hope they invest as well in there, because now, like I said, I think this is a great platform to develop. I thought the XFL, when you talked about it before, the XFL would have been the same thing. I hope it provides opportunity for not only players, but now the business side of it.
Yeah. That's really where it is,
That's
right?
where, yes.
When you got your hand on the debits and the credits and the balance sheet, that's when you really take control of your destiny. So I completely agree with you that needs to be opened up for more opportunity, especially
Yeah.
for more Black and brown folks. So we'll see, man. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see who I'm rooting for. What was I think? It said only going to be 8 teams or so initially, but we'll see who I'm rocking. We'll see if we got a
Man.
team out here.
I'm hoping San Diego and Sacramento get a team.
Oh, there you go. Be local rivalries.
Right. I'm hoping so, but just because of the fact, I think both markets can sustain it.
Yeah.
I think both markets will support it.
Yeah.
And I think, as long as the opportunity is there, man, I think people will go in there. I mean, that's my personal thing. Maybe they won't come in the initial 8, but eventually I hope, LA is already overcrowded with the 2 NFL teams they got there. That's going to be a hard market to crack. And in the Bay Area, it's hard to crack where the San Francisco 49ers are and where the Raiders were formerly at. But I do believe markets like Sacramento, Portland, San Diego, Albuquerque, New Mexico, those areas have been dying for a professional team. This will be the best way for minority owners to go ahead and say, hey, we want to bring a team here and let's make it happen. And then, like I said, put your own spin on how you want to run your business and how you want to market the team, how you want to sell tickets, how you want to do all those things. Man, I think this is just a great platform to develop that business kind of acumen and ownership into a professional organization, sports organization.
Yeah, as you said that, I can almost guarantee. Well, if I was a betting man, I would say Oakland would get one for sure. Now that the Raiders have gone there, because they've already got the infrastructure there, right? So it's cheaper for Oakland to bring in a team like this because again, they don't have to build a stadium, they don't have to go through all that. So Sacramento, similar, we've already got the infrastructure in place, and it's not too overcrowded. Sacramento's not really known as a sports town for outside sports. Yeah, we got the Kings, we got that, but as far as like infrastructure for football, we got stadiums where we can do that too. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm excited. Moving right along. Thank y'all folks for joining us again. I know no one probably pays attention to it, but I am. I'm scratching my head because again, I'm coming in, with this background, with this backyard equipment.
James, one more thing before we move on. Another thing that I heard about the league that also is going to be great, that I think is going to be great. It's going to open up the things for women coaches in the football world, and I think we might possibly have our first woman head football coach in the USFL, and that's what they were kind of talking about today. So that's a big caveat.
What's her name? Welter. I follow her on Instagram. She was a coordinator for the Ravens and the Cardinals, and she is very focused on getting young girls interested in football for the reason of the athleticism, the discipline, just the conditioning and things of that nature. So she would be someone who would be. I'm not in those rooms making those decisions, but she's in someone I would think would be at the top of the list for who could really be influential in terms of coaching one of these teams. So that would be awesome to see. That would be awesome to see.
So I think the USFL is going to change a lot of dynamics. That's another reason. Now we can move on. I forgot to bring that point. I wanted to say that though, big time.
No worries, brother. No worries. I had a story that I wanted to make sure that we brought up, and good Lord, did I miss it? So before we go into that, let me let you reminisce a little bit about the man we lost today, 5 years ago. Talk to folks, about what Mr. Muhammad Ali meant to the world.
I think that probably got to go down as one of the most influential athletes ever to grace the earth. What he stood for. As far as his personal beliefs and what he stood for against the Vietnam War, and not to mention just his skill as a boxer and him being outspoken about things he were against. He's definitely he's an idol of mine. I think an idol of a lot of people that not this generation because they don't know who he was, but definitely our generation. And we lost we lost a great man 5 years ago. That I hope his legacy is able to carry on. Unfortunately, boxing is not the way it was back then that it is now. But hopefully people can carry on the Muhammad Ali spirit. I hope people can carry on the spirit of him. Speak your mind and stick to your beliefs. People think he was braggadocious but I think he was more confident in his skill set. That's why he did the things that he did, why he was boxing. He had a great personality, great humanitarian and human being. Believed in his religious beliefs strongly and expressed it.
Hmm.
I mean, he embodied what we define as as American or being American is all about. He made his own choices. He lived a life the way he wanted to live it. He spoke out against things he thought there was injustices. He came from nothing and became rich.
Yeah.
He embodied what Americans or the term what of American is. So, man, I just salute Muhammad Ali in every way possible as a great person.
I mean, the fact that he transcended more than just sport,
Yeah,
right? The fact that he transcended more than just politics again by making that stand that he made. The fact that he, I'm gonna say, introduced a lot of folks to different religious beliefs to the mainstream, right?
I think he did. I think he brought the
Right.
Muslim, the black
Yeah.
Muslim faith to the
Right.
mainstream because people, he was Cassius Clay, then he changed his name to Muhammad Ali. I believe
Right.
between him and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar brought a lot of that and made people aware that was a discipline of a
Hmm.
religion that people
Yeah.
wanted to learn, especially African Americans learned it a lot. Um, I applaud it. I mean, I don't knock any religion or anything like that. I know the Muslim faith is very strong. People that are Muslim, they're very disciplined, and I think that he believed that was the right decision for him and his family,
Right.
and he spoke out about it. I think that was a great thing to be able to do that. Like I said, I applaud the man in every way facet because he embodied what American is supposed to be, and he dealt with so much. He dealt with
Yes.
so much racism. He dealt with the civil rights movement. He dealt with trying to he was an icon then and trying to deal with an icon, not knowing, not having anybody to follow to be an icon. He kind of walked his own path. Uh, just one of the greatest, I think, men that we can embody, especially as a sports figure, period within our culture. I really just respect what he stood for so much.
I
And,
agree.
go
I was gonna say, and the fact that it was him that dealt with a lot of those firsts for society and a lot of those firsts for the culture, I think resonates as well because I don't think there are very many people at that time who could have stepped in front of those mobs and those angry discussions, and stood up and been as resilient as someone like a Muhammad Ali, right? I
yeah,
mean, it took more than a thick skin. It took confidence of character. It took just someone built differently to
hmm
be able to, one, stand up and say, I'm not going to fight this war. One, I'm changing my name because I'm changing my faith and my belief, things of that nature. To be as braggadocious as he was in front of Howard Cosell, and I'm the best, I'm the greatest, and just have that persona and all about him. Everything again that made up Muhammad Ali just speaks to who we were, and I think who we are as a people. Period. Not just black folks, but again, as you say, as Americans, just really confident, independent, um, looking out for what's best for humanity. And I think that's really what he wanted to do and what he was trying to do in a lot of his efforts that he did. Again, it's unfortunate that we lost a man for the reasons that we lost, and really for the sport that he was in just started taking advantage of his capabilities. But the fact that we had him for the short time that we had, it really resonates in the fact again that we're still talking about him. I still remember when he lit the candle. I'm sorry, lit the flame at the Olympics. I was
hmm
crying like a little kid. Look, I didn't want no one to know or see, but now I'm saying it on camera. Look, but when you saw Muhammad Ali at the very last moment there lighting that torch, you knew all was well.
yeah.
You just knew all was well. So that's good stuff. I see folks chiming in. I appreciate y'all coming in. We appreciate you. Um, in a second, I want to get back to a comment that came in as well because I think we need to talk about this comment that came in. Laura, yeah, the Hurricane movie that was amazing movie as well. I That's actually one of them that's in the private collection here as well. Because,
Mhm.
but yeah, you're right. Boxing is dangerous. Uh, it's dangerous to walk up and down the street sometimes too. But again, I understand where you're coming with that statement there. But again, I think Muhammad Ali epitofied more than just the sport that he called his trade, but
Yeah.
he epitomized really what it is to be a strong individual that's focused and centered on their core beliefs. So
You know what I really admired about him, which is him being. I mean, people said he was outspoken, the things he did, but I can't imagine the courage he had when he stood in front of the camera. I don't know what station, but he was talking about. Those Viet Cong had never done nothing to me, so why am I going to go fight this fight?
yeah,
I'd rather go to jail. I don't think people understand how much courage it took for someone to do that, and especially in those times. I mean, where I look at it from, I'm always kind of introspective. Martin Luther King had his lane. He preached no violence, right? He preached no violence. He wanted just to do everything. Malcolm X was a little more radical. Muhammad Ali was our outspoken one. He spoke it to masses. Malcolm X spoke it to our people, to blacks, the people that listen. Muhammad Ali used his platform to speak out to volumes of people how they felt back then. And then we had Jim Brown as well, but he was quiet. Jim Brown was more behind the scenes. He didn't talk as much. He was more of an activist helping. But I think Muhammad Ali was our outspoken one, and I always imagine. I couldn't imagine being in his shoes, being able to say that and talk and say that at that time, in that time, in that era when so much was going on, and to sacrifice his career where he was still back then, to make millions of dollars the way he was, and I'll give it all up.
yeah,
My
yeah.
belief.
Crazy.
So,
That's great. Bless him for it. I'm glad we had him for it because again, it's I liken it to the military, right? You got to be a special breed. You got to be built differently to be able to go out and go in front or and fight for something that either you may completely agree with, or folks that don't like you. But to be in the military, it takes again a special breed of person to go out there and do that.
yes.
And bless everyone that's done that. Appreciate you for your service, past, present, future, things of that nature. But again, someone like a Muhammad Ali really just resonates with society, humanity, totally. So um, can't stop talking about him for sure, but definitely wanted to make sure that we brought that topic up and that subject up to show our respect to the man and everything that he meant for us. But I want to go back to a comment here that Tony Davis,
Mm.
partner of mine who actually I went to high school with, talking about women getting jobs instead of the black man. So Tony, I don't know if you were on when we talked about the entirety of that story about the USFL, right? And the fact that we really are focused on the fact that well, first of all, thank you for the comment, man. So and the fact that bring it up because again, that's what we're talking about right here, the social importance and influence of sport, things of that nature. So we want to have these conversations, but um, we were really focused on having that discussion that minorities are getting into the ownership realm, getting into the coaching realm, getting into general management, actually being influential in the league now that the USFL is coming back. That was the premise of what Montell and I were talking about. And then just blossoming that out and said, now let's bring in other folks who marginalized communities. There are women that are out there who no sport, no football, because we're talking about football particularly,
Mhm.
it would make sense, right? I mean, this could be that opportunity for the sports world to really stand up and do a righteous thing. Let the minorities let some minorities come in and actually have some ownership, have some leadership. Let some women come in, have some ownership, and have some leadership. This just makes sense, and there's nothing negative that we want to say about this story. But I appreciate you bringing up this comment, man, because again, we want to make sure that we didn't leave anything or say anything out of context that you didn't agree with us when we were talking about it earlier. You got
Yeah,
anything, Montel?
yeah. I think we got to look at qualified. Black, green, white, orange, man or woman. You got to hire somebody that's qualified first.
Yeah,
And I don't believe it's over anyone. I'm thinking the USFL is going to provide more opportunities for more minorities. Black male coaches,
yeah,
women owners, black owners, brown owners. I think this is just going to be a great platform to be able to develop and be able to develop kind of like our way. I look, me personally, I compare it like hip hop, the music. We developed how hip hop and how it's structured.
Yeah.
But the thing that we didn't understand about that is the business side. I think now with the acumen and the people that can be in ownership, we can get an understanding of how to learn the business, how to do the business in there, how to understand sports entertainment, how to be able to develop these teams, how to develop front offices all the way around. I hope front offices are rainbow color. It should be everybody in there getting the opportunity to play. But I do believe now we have this one groundbreaking opportunity to become owners, run it our way, understand the business our way.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
the NFL is not going to let us in. They're not letting no one in. They're not letting minorities in. Unfortunately, that's their monopoly on the thing. This is an opportunity to hopefully break that monopoly.
That's true. That's true. Man, shouts out to all my folks coming into the building because we talking about some things and we got some educators online. We got Dr. JP in here. We got Dr. Nugent in here. Always got Keely in here keeping me straight. Uh, Mr. Cox, man. See, Montell. Here we go. Right, I'm trying to stay focused, but again, I'm coming through with this bootleg system tonight, and I don't have all my bells and whistles, so that's why I'm
We
standing.
good. We good. We good.
No, man, keep me right, because so let me do a little side note for all my ECAM family. Do not run the developers version of Mac OS because the latest version does not work with eCam. It doesn't even load.
That's for all the techies out there. That's for all the
Right,
techies out
yeah.
there.
So if you're trying to run a show, if you're trying to run a live stream with the latest and greatest bleeding edge technology, let me tell you something. As of this morning, they are not compatible. I've got a support ticket into the brothers at Ecamm to try to figure it out. But we coming through with another great platform, Restream. So shouts out to them. We able to get the message out again. I know I'm the only one that's worried about it because we're talking about the stuff that matters, and it's the content that's resonating, and that's why folks are staying on the line and staying on the stream. But I had to throw that caveat out there because I got some of my mentor, my mentors in here right now. I want to make sure that I'm coming correct though. Love you, man. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Hold on. Let me see what Miss Keeley said. I love the fact that she's commenting as well. It's the scarcity mentality. Opportunities for one take away from another. I wish we could really articulate and argue against these assumptions. And see, again, Keely's coming from sports background as well, right? So she's highly involved, highly engaged with sports up in Canada. So she understands the mentality again, being a woman who's in leadership roles in in sports. So would love to continue to get her perspective on some of these things. But
We got to bring her on the show one day. Definitely bring her on the show for her to have her talk and let's get it from her lens.
man, I better get right. I better come through. Look, look, I got Dr. Nugent in here. I got JP and Keely. Man, I better be right before I bring them on. Let me go and get focused and get back into what we were talking about. Next story. This should have been the lead story, but there's so many things going on, and this one's slightly troubling, man. This one's slightly troubling because we need to have this discussion. Naomi Osaka, winner, and if anyone says anything negatively about that, then shame on you because she is a wonderful person, wonderful athlete. I don't know her personally or not, but I've just seen the content of her character and I've seen what she's done on and off the tennis court. She decided that she wasn't feeling doing press interviews while participating in this latest tournament. She got fined $15,000 for not participating in that press interview, and the reason that she did not want to because she was having personal issues that she wanted to deal with from a mental perspective. Tennis organization said, you know what, you continue to not provide your time to the press and not tell us your story, not tell us your things, not do your due diligence and be in front of these cameras and microphones. We may kick you out of this tournament. She says, you know what, hold on, I'm just going to leave. I'm going to leave and I'm going to take care of myself and take care of my mental sanity and my mental health. And kudos to Naomi for being a 23-year-old woman able to stand up in front of this large organization, to stand up literally in front of the world and say, you know what, what's most important to me right now is me. Not going around here making the money because I'm probably gonna win anyway, because she's bad like that, right? She can do her thing, but really standing up and making a stand for mental health, and advocate for understanding and realizing what's most appropriate. Uh, um, Again, the fact that she's walked away from this has really shined a light on our reliance and our our I'm trying to figure out the best way to say this, right? Our need to have our athletes and our entertainers talk to us for some other reason. They don't have to talk to us. The fact that she's got fined $15,000 for not getting in front of a camera and talking to a news agency, that's shameful in and of itself. But the fact that this organization didn't step outside of themselves and say, you know what, this person is in need of some assistance from a from a mental perspective. How do we take care of the person as opposed to worrying about this tournament and the revenues that's coming in from a TV and a news perspective? So shame on them for that. But talk to me about your thoughts on this, because I'm not torn on it. I'm actually completely in her corner, just as a lot of other athletes are coming out, and entertainers and celebrities coming out and saying, you know what, Naomi, we got you, we behind you. Take care of yourself, girl. Take care of what you need to take care of, and move on. Right? If you need to change sports, if you need to change uh, brands, but no, you know what? Nike actually came out today and said, we stand
Support.
behind you.
Yep, they
Right.
support her.
And they are her primary sponsor. So Nike
Yep.
came back and said, we gonna ride with you because you're doing the right thing. Tell me your thoughts on this, man, because
I,
this has got me shook a little bit.
I am 100% in support of Naomi. I think she did the right thing. First of all, I think one, just addressing, I think she's shedding light on something that we always keep in the dark,
Yeah,
which is mental health.
yeah,
We always, especially us as African Americans, from what I understand, from my experience, we kind of keep that under the dark. We got to be stronger. We can't concede to anyone. We can't, we got to just be stronger than the strong, mentally and physically. And I believe, let's be honest, man, today's world is crazy,
mm-hmm.
and she's dealing with whatever she's dealing with in her way, and she just felt she wasn't mentally ready for that. And I read something the other day about how she has social anxiety. She
Yeah,
doesn't really like being in front of the camera. She doesn't really like
yeah,
talking. She's a person who likes to kind of keep to herself and do her thing. But she's been forced to talk, especially since she won. When she beat Serena, she's been forced to talk on these cameras and talk to reporters and everything all the time. And she doesn't feel comfortable. We've seen this in a couple of our athletes, but it was ignored. We saw it in Ricky Williams. Remember him talking with a helmet on. He did his interview with his helmet on when he was doing
yeah,
those things. We
yeah.
saw it with Marshawn Lynch.
I'm
One
just
word
here so I
comment.
don't get fined. I'm
Yeah,
just here so I don't get
yeah,
fined.
so I'm get fine,
Yeah.
but he doesn't feel comfortable in front of these
Mm-hmm.
things. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's the social anxiety part. But she's dealing with personal issues and she has social anxiety. I applaud her for coming out and saying, I'm not mentally ready. I'm not right. I'm not, I don't feel good competing. I'm not mentally focused. I need to talk to somebody or get some help or just take some time off to get myself right. And she's shining light on something that we hide in the dark for so much, man. And I applaud her for just being that person to be able to come out and show people that, hey, man, if you have a problem, you have a situation, let somebody know. Remove
Yeah.
yourself from the situation you're having these problems with, and let's get some help. Let's, I think we're in a new day and time. We are more pressure, more things are on you with social media and the cameras, and you're always being in the spotlight. And if you're a winner, you really got the lights and everything shining
Yeah.
up on you. They're dealing with. She's a young lady dealing with a whole lot. And for her, like I said, for her to be able to, instead of just going out there and trying to fight through it and lose, and everybody's going to ask her what's wrong with her losing and why'd you lose so early. She's just not mentally right, and she took a step
Yeah.
back. And so that's a big adult move she did.
Yeah.
Uh,
And
and I applaud her.
I don't even want to know the specifics,
I don't care.
of
Yeah, I
why.
don't care. That's her thing. Yeah.
She came out and said there is something going on right now in her life that is bigger than tennis.
Yep.
And every time I read this, and I've read this last couple of days ever since she's withdrawn. So here's the statement for everyone from the French Tennis Federation. Quote, first and foremost, we are sorry and sad for Naomi Osaka. So right there, I got issues with that.
Mm-hmm.
What you sorry for? Right, and what you sad for? Why not see? Why not be supportive, and why not be helpful?
Yeah.
Don't be sorry and sad for her. Be encouraging of this young woman. Continuing to quote, the outcome of Naomi withdrawing from Roland Garros is unfortunate. We wish her the best and the quickest possible recovery, and we look forward to having Naomi at our tournament next year. We remain very committed to all athletes' well-being and to continually improving every aspects of players' experience in our tournament. And this is the catch right here, including with the media. So they don't get it yet, right? See, they're again worrying about that dollars and cents of this
Yeah,
whole
it's about the
thing.
dollars. You just hit it. It's about the dollars and cents
Yeah.
for them. The French Open is about the dollars and cents.
Man,
Let's be candid. They could care less about Naomi.
true.
They could care less about her mental health. They just want her to be on the court. That's
True.
just the press thing to make kumbaya, to make sure they cover their tracks.
Yeah.
Because if they really cared about her, like you said, the thing they would have said was, we support her. We're retracting that $15,000. She should, we support her coming out saying she's not mentally ready and all those things. That's just a press release just to cover themselves, man. And shame on them, but the juggernaut to keep moving regardless.
True.
With Naomi, I'm like I said, I think I'm a big supporter of hers. I think like she did something that most people don't even have the courage to do. They would have just tried to fight through it and got through it. Mm-hmm. She spoke to the world and said, "Hey, I'm not mentally ready. I'm just not there. I'm not, something going on in my life that I got to deal with that's keeping me from focusing on tennis and being the best athlete I can be." Yeah. Applause all the way around. I hope this shed, like I said, I hope this sheds more light on our mental health, on having mental health. And if people are going through mental issues or mental health issues or they're just weakness, man, that they just find that help, whether it be a friend, a foe, a teacher, a mentor, professional help with a psychiatrist. So, all these, these helplines or whatever, man, get that help because, one, we don't, you're an important person, not just Naomi that's dealing with the lowest, the individual that's out there on the street. If you're dealing with some situation, man, please go seek that help because we don't need to lose no other more people to this situation because we know how it gets when it gets very detrimental.
Yeah.
We've seen the outcome over and over again when mental health gets detrimental and people can't deal with it. Because I'm gonna tell you right now what a good friend told me, Christopher Smith, when pain starts to outweigh your will to live, that's when you commit heinous acts.
Wow.
And that's so true. When that pain, that inner
that's
pain,
powerful.
when that mental pain overtakes your will to live, that's when we deal with these situations, man. And we don't need them. We don't need any more situations. So I hope Naomi's a spokesperson. I hope she comes out. Hope she tells people to get mental health right and people just follow suit, man, because that's a very important issue that we deal with today that it's an issue that we have today, but we don't talk about. People don't talk about it.
That's true. And I will say that this whole situation has raised, I think, the conversation. It takes someone in the limelight to, I think, really trigger that spark, right? To actually have that conversation. So ESPN watchers and followers, you've seen Jalen Rose talk about the depression and the aggression and the issues that he's had ever since losing his mother. I'm normally not a Stephen A. Smith fan. I think he's crazy, but crazy in a good way. He does his job, but he was actually on, it may have been on PTI or whatever the other day, talking about the situation of losing his daughter. And when Stephen A. got into that conversation again about having to physically and emotionally, both physically and emotionally, go through the hurt and the depression every single day. Since he's lost his daughter. That really, I think, we wouldn't have had that discussion from Jalen and from Stephen A. if it hadn't been for Naomi.
And right? I think I don't know if I saw the same one, but I know he said, Stephen A. Smith, he's like, I'm depressed every day.
Every single day.
Every single day. At some moment of my day, I suffer from mental depression about his daughter. So now, like you said, Naomi to spark these conversations because other people feel like I feel the same way. I lost my brother at a young age. Every day I think about him. He's in my heart every single day. So I don't know if I'm depressed or I define mine as depressed. I define mine as more, but it probably is a form of depression. I just don't know. I just been able to operate with it. But I can understand. I can empathize with what he's saying, and I'm one of millions that go through this and have the same thing. But again, we don't talk about it. We don't discuss it. We don't have those conversations. So I'm hoping, like I said, it sheds light. I think, I think the stigma of talking to a psychiatrist or talking to somebody for help or releasing whatever depression you have. I think that stigma needs to go away. And definitely I can only speak for the Black community because I know at least the people I hang around, it's a stigma that it's a negative stigma. It shouldn't be that way. We should be able to go get that mental health and get that help that we need to work through our issues and our problems because we all deal with things differently. And I had a conversation with my best friend Tim today. We were talking about stress. He deals with it he internalizes it. Not good. Not a good thing to do because you internalize so much it blows up. I told I was like, the way I deal with it, I exercise. I punch my punching bag. I deal with it in a different way. I think the same thing with mental health. People deal with it with so many different ways. And this is the thing that they don't have that outlet. Naomi's going to be able to get help. Let's be honest. She'll be able to get help whatever she wants. Stephen A. Smith, if he really wanted to, he can go get help or he can have somebody to talk to. But us common folk, it's hard for us to go out in that lane and do that and get those resources, like they said. But I encourage, man, seek them because there's free resources, there's paid resources, there's friends, there's mama, whoever you think you need to talk to and discuss this with that I have an unbiased opinion. I just don't want to see nobody else, succumb to that pain of mental illness.
I agree with you, man. I agree with you, man. And folks, we sticking on this for a minute because it just resonates with everyone. If it's not you, it's someone next door to you. It's someone up the street from you. Someone in your family that's having some issues or some challenges. And especially within the last 14 or so months, right when the world literally stopped. Look, that just took its toll on everybody. And you're lying if you're going to say it didn't. And I guess another thing I want to bring up is there are more effective ways of dealing with depression, aggression, stress, depression, and all of that stuff. Don't go down the path of separating yourself from the ones that you love. Don't go down the path of burying your troubles in a bottle of something, right? I mean, just those kind of things. There are more positive and more effective ways of dealing with these types of issues. So I just definitely wanted to bring that up as well. So Mr. Cox here is bringing up something. Naomi is a different generation, and that generation looks at mental health differently. Talking about mental health is becoming more normalized as time goes on. Still a long, long way to go. That's a really good point, man. That's a really good point, man. And kudos and shouts out to, I think, the youngsters of the day. And I know we always get mad at them because they're always looking at their phones or always doing TikTok dances or whatever. But you know what? They're verbalizing themselves and they're having those conversations. They actually are more in tune because they've grown up in a time of so much, right? They've grown up and seen so much negative right in front of them, right? It took us until 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night when we saw, Walter Cronkite on the evening news before we saw something. Now you can see what's going on at 1600 Pennsylvania immediately when they start acting the fool. So again, I think that our youth are more adept to forming their own opinions and not falling into what their parents or their grandparents or folks, may have thought. So that's a good thing. It's time to end the stigma surrounding health. Everyone struggles mentally in some way, shape, or form.
100%. That is 100% true.
Yeah.
Everyone. I think people deal with it in different ways. I think some of us have been raised to deal with it in different ways or, ignore it. But like you said, it's time to stop ignoring it. Everyone deals with it in some way. And I believe the stigma of getting help, not just dealing with it, but the stigma of getting help that you're either weak or You shouldn't go see that. And I'm a guilty person. My wife wanted when we were going out and we were struggling. She was like, "We need to go see a go talk to a psychiatrist." I'm like, "I ain't going to see no damn psychiatrist. I ain't dealing with that." And that's just on the relationship, building the relationship part. I can only imagine it mentally. I'm sure. I talked to a friend of mine, and I'll get off the subject real quick. But I was talking to a friend of mine about our growing up. The things that happened, the things that we happened in growing up the way we did, and the things that we saw growing up. Man, I should have postpartum, to be honest with you, some of the things that we saw. But I learned how to deal with it in a different way. The way I was raised was like, put that to the side, put to the back. But now looking back on it as old as I am and reflecting, there's a lot of traumatic things that just happened. So I can only imagine. And I did good. I was cool. I didn't live in a crazy environment. But I can only imagine someone that's living in an urban environment and they have no hope, and there's no hope around them. There's no hopeful situations going on. Can you imagine what that person's mental state is? Can you imagine that person that's been wrongfully accused and had to go to prison? What that person's mental state is? Can you imagine somebody of the 17-year-olds that never had nothing that's throwing $1 million and say, "Take care of everybody in your family"? Can you imagine that person's mental state? All these different criteria, man, affects you mentally big time. So I think it's just time to hopefully eliminate that stigma. And like my man said, let's get help. Mr. Cox said, we got to start to just kind of erase that and get help when we need to get help.
I completely agree with you, and I think Healy kind of sums it up right here. I mean, again, folks, as you know, the whole premise, the whole mission behind Team No Sleep. Again, we're not just talking about scores and sports, and we're not just talking about who's got the latest shoe deal. We're not just going to talk about who's driving the fanciest car, right? This is the social impact of sport. And again, this was really the lead story. We wanted to ease into it and creep into it because we wanted to definitely make sure we didn't glaze over it. But thank you for your support, folks, in terms of having this discussion and bringing out your comments. This is real. This, again, touches and addresses everyone. If you don't think so, you're lying to yourself. We all need to pull out the hand and actually get some support from those around us and stop being too proud, stop being too selfish. If you need some help, reach one, teach one, like our dude tells us, right? Like our dude Bracey tells us, right? I mean, that's a great mantra. So let's make sure we take care of each other as we continue to move forward. Next story. We're gonna move over into we're gonna move into some basketball, and then we'll end with a crazy football story. How about that?
Okay. But before we do that, I know somebody was talking about they gave Nike support. I'm gonna slap Nike on the hand real quick for Miss Vanessa Bryan for trying.
That's what I was talking about when I. That's exactly what I was talking about. Okay.
Yeah, releasing the mama suit the shoes without her permission, man. I mean, that ain't cool. That wasn't cool on Nike part. The Juggernaut, that's the one. That's an epic fail on their part right there.
Yeah.
That one.
Mama Vanessa gonna get. She gonna call somebody and she gonna get that taken care of for sure. Releasing them shoes without them being aware of it. Man, what's going on? So, all right, Coach K.
Yeah.
That man has been in the game for a long time. He's saying, you know what? I done won all these championships. I done won all these gold medals. It's time to go sit down.
Yeah,
I'm not mad at you, Coach. I'm not mad at you, Coach K. Arguably the GOAT. His athletic director Kevin White called him the GOAT when he was talking about the season coming up. So Coach K is talking about retiring at the end of this season, the 20 to 2021 season.
Yep.
Trying to win one for Duke one more time, but you know what? Coach is not worried about winning another championship. He just wants to have a great run.
And go out rightfully so, like he's supposed to get his flowers while he's still on his tour through the ACC. People pay homage to what the things that he's brought to basketball. I think for Coach K, that he's seen so many eras of basketball. And I think this era right now, the way it's going now, it's the changing of the guards. And he's getting out the time. Duke is not landing the powerhouse players that he used to because college basketball, the landscape is no longer like it used to be. Guys are going in one and done, or guys are skipping college basketball altogether to go to the NBA, have opportunity to play at the NBA. So with that being said, his era, he's like, this is a new game. I think this is a new game, a new day and era, and Duke doesn't echo like it used to. We had this conversation before how the Duke and the Georgetowns and they don't echo like they used to back in our day.
Yeah.
Now it's the Gonzagas and the Butlers and the St. Marys and
crazy.
Those schools are like, whoa,
Gonzaga.
Gonzaga, like what the Gonzaga? But those are the guys that are kind of taking it to the next level. And I think it's just passes by. We've seen it already happen though. The North Carolina, how they fell off the map. How other basketball powerhouses it's just not there anymore, and these smaller schools are doing it. And I think, Tall Boy kind of brought this up, and he said it before that how these smaller schools are recruiting players are going to be in the systems for 4 years, where the Dukes and all those were recruiting those one and done players, and it finally caught up to them. The guys that were in there, they're in the 4-year system. They're playing, they're winning, they understand how to win, they understand the offense. Where you're just cycling these 1-year superstars, and it's finally just caught up to him. And I think it's just caught up to his coaching career as well. Because let's be honest, if Duke was still the powerhouse, I don't think Coach K would be retiring, hanging it up. Yeah. I think it's now that the game is now starting. The way the game is, the platform of recruiting and how it's done. It's kind of it's time to give it on up and let somebody else take control. Yeah. But I mean, salute. The man is Mr. Basketball. He's done it all. He's won at every level except for the NBA level, but I don't think that takes away anything. He's a first-time Hall of Fame ballot in the College Basketball Hall of Fame, and probably in the Basketball Hall of Fame as well, because he's done so much. Great guy to root against. I didn't like Duke either. Someone said Duke was his nemesis. I didn't like Duke either.
Yeah, I was North Carolina just because of Jordan, so I've always rooted for them. But then Jerry Jump, golly,
the game I hated Duke. I hated Duke. I hated Bobby Hurley, and I hated Christian Laettner. and Coach K just had to be associated with them. Yeah. I mean, but let's be honest with you. He made those guys who were, Grant Hill was also there before, there, who's a great player in the NBA. But those guys they didn't really make it to the next level to be that great. They made it in the NBA. They played pretty good. But I mean, they didn't make it to be that superstar status in the NBA. But for college basketball, arguably top 5 greatest team, definitely. That Duke team he put together with him easily.
Yeah. He will go down, I just say, in history as one of the, if not the, it just depends on whose Mount Rushmore you're building. Yeah. He says he's not planning to leave, right? He's just going to step away from the head coaching position. Mm-hmm. So he's leaving that out there. He'll probably step into some analyst or some consultancy role, probably still coach the Olympics team if he's asked to do that. I don't see him at 74 years of age, as he is right now. I don't see him stepping up into an NBA role.
No, I think he's past that. If he was going to be an NBA player, I remember Kobe was kind of fighting for him at one point, I believe, when Kobe was when Kobe was playing with the Lakers and they had a coach it open. I think he was kind of fighting him, and he said no, he didn't really want to do it. Mm-hmm. I think Coach K's legacy is in college basketball, just like John Thompson's was, just like Chaney's was, just like a lot of those guys. I think they found their niche at the collegiate level. They've been paid a lot of money to do the things they were doing, and they were great coaches and great mentors of those men in that crucial area from the age of 18 to 22. Exactly. They knew how to coach and groom those guys. Plus, let's be honest with you, man, the NBA is a different game, just like coaching pros from any other sport. Now you're dealing with men that make more money than you and don't really want to listen to you if they don't want to listen to you.
Yeah, so it takes a special kind of character to be able to talk to someone making 10 times more money than you on a nightly basis, and you're going to tell him to go up and down the court and run. What?
Yeah. He can look at you crazy like, what you do? You can't tell me what to do. So, I mean, and Coach K probably didn't want to deal with that madness. I can understand it why a lot of coaches stay in the collegiate world and don't want to go to the professional world. Mm-hmm. But I mean, his accolades, man, the games, how many games he won, the teams he's coached, the things he was able to do in college basketball, he's got to be second to none. I mean, Wooden, it's got to be John Wooden and then Coach K, probably right there. If not right up on, right out of the Wooden is probably the greatest college coaches that have been around.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because Wooden is credited.
Wooden will never be touched. He won't be touched. Yeah.
He's credited really as being the architect of a
Yeah,
lot of what is basketball today. So yeah, Kay will definitely for the previous generation, right?
yeah.
So the folks that came up maybe again with the last 10 years or so. I don't know who's really that person right now at the collegiate level who's really making all of the strides. Maybe was it Smart? Not Smart, out of Kansas. Um, I can't remember his name, but the coach out of Kansas right now, just trying to figure out who's out there really resonating with the youth and
Mhm.
really attracting all of the top tier talent with their program and things of that nature. But shouts out to Coach K for everything he's done to the game and everything that he's done to uh, to his rivals as well, because he's whooped up on us quite a few times. So go ahead, go sit down now, Coach, and
Yeah,
and let let my North Carolina folks come back in. Let my Michigan folks come back in and try to win something. Good Lord,
there
we
you
ain't
go.
we ain't had nothing good happening in Michigan since. Well,
Well, they balled this year. Michigan was good this year, but I
I,
mean,
we need to cut down some nets though. That's what
there
we
you go.
need.
There you go.
Yeah,
You want
yeah.
that?
So
You want that? You want that final? You want that
I,
championship?
we man, nobody coming in second place, man. We got to win around here. We got to win. Uh, your boy Johnny Football.
Yeah.
I haven't talked about him in years. I haven't talked about him since I mistakenly went out and bought his jersey.
I don't know how you mistakenly did that, but okay.
I don't even know if I want to talk about it. I bought his jersey. I was in Portland, Oregon, at the Nike store, and I bought his jersey when he was just coming out. And I said, "Oh, I got to get this because Johnny Manziel gonna be the man." I wore that jersey one time. I wore that jersey out on the golf course out there with my boys golfing one day.
Uh-huh.
And then Johnny got out there on the football field and started playing. I swear to you, 3 weeks later, I burnt that jersey.
You
Never
got
wore it
Curtis
again.
jersey, but I got
I didn't throw it away. I didn't give it to Goodwill. I did what they did with LeBron's jersey when he took his talents to.
you. Miami, huh?
I burnt that jersey, man. Look, but I don't want to say nothing. But this man is coming out talking about some things, and look, no, I don't think anyone doubted that this was happening. But Johnny's talking about he made a little bit of money
Yeah,
while he was in college off of his likeness, off of his signature. But he's stating and he's being very explicit that he didn't make any money off of his signature or any appearances until after he won the Heisman.
yeah. I mean, quote unquote, he didn't do it or he didn't make any money. I mean, he's probably being emphatic because he doesn't want Texas A&M to get in trouble with the NCAA as far as being sanctioned or banned or anything like that. But I mean, I don't. This is not new. This is not a new. This is not a secret for
Yeah,
anybody. For any top
yeah.
for any of those top players that are playing in college football from then till now, and I say any college athlete, if you're a superstar college athlete,
Yeah.
you are going to have an opportunity to make money, especially quote unquote after you win your awards or after your season is over or whatnot. By signing autographs or doing commercials or wearing something of someone, some wearing some apparel or whatever the
Hmm.
case may be.
Hmm.
There's opportunity for them to make because they're those are athletes that are admired and looked up to by of not hundreds of thousands, millions of people. Johnny Manziel at the time that this happened was the hottest thing going on. He was the hottest player in college football,
Was.
undersized guy to sling the rock and beat the juggernaut. I think he beat LSU that year when
Hmm.
LSU was supposed to be unbeatable. He was doing it all. He was on top of the world. So why not take advantage of it? Let's why not take advantage of the opportunities for him to be able to make some extra money on the side, being a collegiate athlete. And if anybody's been in college, you're struggling, even though he's getting his little stipend, he's probably making a little
Yeah.
money aside. But if someone offers you 10, 25,000, 30,000, 50,000 to come sign some autographs, why would you not take advantage of that? I mean, that
Yeah.
someone that has nothing, that's a lot of money to be able to
Yeah.
do things with. So I mean, he's not, but this is not anything new. He's just telling his story because this isn't new. I'm sure there's more
Yeah.
athletes that did it before.
Yeah,
Um,
and the reason I wanted to bring it up is not because of that fact, right? Because again, it's in the news. People are talking about it. We've always known that anyone who's out there on the field, on the court, on the pitch, whatever the case may be, on their sport in collegiate level, someone's paying your rent, someone's buying your food, someone's taking care of your mom and your daddy, whatever. But just the brashness of Johnny coming out and saying, you know what, look, come, you're not gonna come after me, but you're gonna take my trophies away, you're gonna take my Heisman away. He's still got an arrogance about him in a negative way. So he not a confidence, but he's got
Yeah,
an arrogance about
I,
him.
I think it's an arrogance, but I
Mhm.
also believe, I think, and I'm pardon my French, he's a media whore. He wants to be in the limelight somehow, some way by doing something, whether
Mhm.
he's playing in the NFL, getting cut from the NFL, playing in the CFL, getting cut from the CFL, talking about, he made money signing autographs after
Yeah.
his college days. Johnny Manziel wants to be that player in the limelight, and the limelight is burnt out. I don't even know why ESPN entertained the story, because it's really not new or anything that's this is not new. I mean, people were doing this, has been happening forever. I think Johnny, again, like I said, he was the hottest thing since fish grease when he was playing in college football. I think rightfully so, he should have took advantage of the opportunities that was given to him, especially if it was an opportunity to make money to better himself and put himself in a nice situation financially. But again, with his braggadocious, again, he's going way out of the way to make sure he said he did it after
Yeah.
we won the Heisman. That means after Texas A&M regular season was over. That means he didn't break any rules, which I think is BS. Yeah, you were doing it the whole time. If you're gonna be, I say, don't be 50% transparent. Be 100% transparent at this point.
Wow, I love it.
And I don't
So
think he's being that way.
here's the real reason why I brought this story up, because I wanted to dig into you a little bit. I wanted to ask you a question about Reggie Bush.
Yeah,
You think Reggie should get his Heisman back?
absolutely.
Okay.
I think let's set the scenario.
That's the real reason why I brought this story up, because I wanted to talk about that, because this is almost kind of that same. It's not a double standard, the same type of conversation.
Yeah. But let's set the scenario, at least from what I understand the story about Reggie Bush. I don't know if this is factual. I'm just going to tell you what I've heard over the years about how it happened. Reggie was supposed to, some company approached him, agency approached him, wanted him to they wanted to represent him. And in some type of conversation they had, they told Reggie they were going to give him some money, under the table, just to kind of tie you over to you get ready to become a professional, and then you're gonna be our guy. Someone knocked on Reggie Bush's door and gave him $1 million cash.
Next thing you know,
wait, I don't think people understand. $1 million.
Next thing you know,
cash.
he's not rolling around in a RAV4 anymore. But hey, just saying, right?
I don't. You are 21, 20, about to be 21 years old. Someone gives you $1 million in cash to say, hey, when you graduate, please consider us to represent you. But here's $1 million cash. 99 out of 100 players. I'm saying 100 out of 100 players. No one would turn that money down. No one. Now, Reggie got sanctioned, and they banned him from the USC for doing this and doing that when it all came out. But why isn't that agency or those guys being criminally charged by approaching the minor by giving them $1 million? So there's the double standard I'm seeing. I want to see. I don't want to care about the Johnny Manziel to the Reggie Bush comparison. It's more like, why isn't the law, or why aren't the sanctions applying to that agency or the people that try to represent him and give him that money and make him influenced to be a part of their organization, instead of punishing Reggie Bush, which every kid in the world would have took that money.
Yeah.
No one's going to pass up $1 million cash in their hand. And I don't know and like I said, I don't know if the story's true. So I don't want Reggie people coming after me or anything like that. I don't, but that's the story that I heard that it happened that way. No one's going to pass that kind of money up, man. I'm sorry. That was life-changing money, whether he made it big in the NFL or not.
Correct.
That's life-changing money. So I don't Reggie should be Mr. USC. They should give him back all his trophies, because it had nothing to do with what he did on the field. There was no doubt in no one's mind he was the best college football player at that year, the year he won Heisman, and arguably the best running back of college all time. Now, I know there's Barry Sanders and all them, but no one was more electrifying than Reggie Bush, in my opinion. There's a lot of great ones that play college and went on to have great pro careers. But in college, especially that year, Reggie was the most electrifying player I've ever seen. Running down the field, putting the ball behind his back, diving in the end zone, just doing things that we had never
Crazy.
seen
Crazy.
before.
Yep.
And for them to say, hey, since you broke this rule, we're going to take away all your athletic accolades is preposterous because the NCAA is robbing these kids every day. These kids are making billions of dollars for them. You give them nothing. You give them an education, but they represent the school, and that school brings in more enrollment, brings in more fans. So the school is making that money back. Don't give me that BS about that. You giving them scholarship money. That's all. That's okay. Reggie Bush made more money for USC than USC knows. He sold out the Coliseum. I don't know if people know how big the Coliseum is. Coliseum holds out 100,000 people.
Yes, sir.
He sells out 6 games because people come to watch him in the Coliseum. All that money goes to the school. You don't think the school's made their tuition that they give him back 10 times over, 20 times over, 100 times over? And the TV money they get because he's going to be on TV now, and so on and so on. So don't give me that message that, hey, they got a free education. That was their payment. This, they should be able to take opportunities of the likeness to be able to get paid if someone's willing to pay them.
Yeah.
That's the way I feel about it. Now, if we're going to get into the subject, should college players get paid? I have a whole different perspective on it. I believe they should get paid.
Yes. Yeah.
I believe they should get paid, but I should believe they should get paid upon their graduation. I think money should go into a pot.
Wow. That's a keep going. That's a really good conversation.
They should get their stipend like they're getting, but upon graduation, they should get a percentage of that money in a pot. So when they graduate, they walk away with $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 for representing the school 4 years. If you decide to leave the school early to go NFL, go pro, you forfeit that money and that goes back into the pot. But your job is there to be a student athlete. You're there to go 4 years to represent the school for 4 to 5 years to play football or play your sport and then move on to your professional career, whether it's athletically or professionally. I believe if you represented that school for those 4 years, that money should go into a pot. You should get paid upon when you graduate and walk away with your degree.
That's an interesting perspective because so many other folks are looking at it as, we should be giving these kids just a paycheck, right? Again, something
you get a paycheck, you get a stipend every month. So there's your paycheck you get.
Right. Right. And I think I also agree that the NCAA needs to change their ways, and compensate these students and these likenesses and folks out there putting their bodies on the line every single day. And you're getting hundreds of thousands, billions and millions of dollars for them going out there and entertaining your fans and your boosters
I agree with you. I'm sorry to cut you off, Jay, but I agree with you. But some people are like, oh, they should get paid for while they're there at the school. Whoa. You're signing a contract, right? To represent that school. Yeah. Granted, your letter of intent is every year, but they're giving that letter of intent is for you to stay there for 4 years or to complete your career as an athlete, which is typically you get 5 years to play 4, right? That's kind of the norm. Redshirt year, and then you can play 4. So you got 5 to play 4.
Yeah.
And within that year, you're supposed to be able to earn your degree. I believe they should reward the student athlete, not just the athlete. The student athlete should be rewarded for representing that school for 4 years. And like I said, I believe it should be built up in a bank or an annuity or whatever it is, and they get paid out upon graduation. So when you walk across that stage and you get that degree, you get that check.
You get your diploma, and you get another envelope that's got the routing number and the account number for
because
for a little something.
Because they made so much money for the school.
Yeah,
they their likeness for the school. They represented the school. They've sacrificed for the school because believe me, student athlete, you sacrifice a lot being on the college campus, especially on the big time program. So they sacrifice so much to do all those things. And I believe, the ones that want to either drop out, they don't want to be there no more, or the ones that decide to go pro early and all that stuff, that money should just stay in the pot and give it to those that graduate.
Yeah,
that will give more incentive for, I think, a lot of people to say, I'm going to finish my degree regardless of what's going on. I'm going to make sure I stay on track to get my degree. I'm not going to just take these bonehead classes because I'm not going to the NFL in 2 years. It should be that kind of attitude and that kind of, I think, tone set to say, hey, if you don't make it to the league, at least you're going to walk away with your degree, and you got a $80,000 head start. Check, so you don't have to go back and live with moms and pops. You can go figure out where you want to set up shop. You got a little bit of money to live off yourself after you graduate to figure out what you're going to do with your next move before you get a job. I think that, to me, would be the best move. Now, how they deal with this, because you have the tiers of NCAA, Division I, Division II, Division III. All those represent the school that do the same thing. I don't know how the money would be dispersed, or how it would be dispersed with the big schools, the Power Fives versus someone that's not Power Five. I don't know how that's dispersed, but I do believe they need to get paid, and it should be at the end, because a little bit of something to help everybody for representing the school in athletics.
I want to keep having that conversation, and I know you got some folks kind of in the pipeline who we can bring on to talk a little bit more in detail about sports in general, from not just the amateur level, but also the professional level. But I want to keep having that conversation because I think it's relevant, and we need to see where it's going. Because again, it came out in the news that the NCAA was going to start again compensating student athletes for their likenesses and their abilities and what they bring, the value they bring back to the university. So. I'm writing a mental note on that one, man. That's good
I'll
stuff.
remind you. Don't worry about it, man. I'll remind you on that.
I know you will.
That's a discussion I love to have.
I know you will, man. Hey, brother, we did what we needed to do again tonight. I think, right?
Yes, sir.
We talked to them, folks. Hopefully tonight was valuable. Hopefully tonight we made you think a little bit different about a couple of these topics. Reach out to us if you got any questions, concerns, or about what we talk about. Hopefully, we just make you think. We're not going to sit here and be nodding all the time, yes men, and that type of thing. We going to stir it up. And Montell, no, I'm gonna ask. I'm gonna bring something out of right field that he wasn't ready. Just like this Reggie Bush conversation that we had just now, right? Just to get that dialogue and just to get that awkward conversation going. So that's what we do, folks. That's what we do. Continue to support us. Continue to subscribe. Tell your friends. Tell us what we should be doing if we're not doing something that you think we should be. We just want to continue to bring quality content to you, the community. So for that, I'm gonna say thank you, Brother Montell. Tell us what you got. You doing all right? What's next for you?
Everybody, be safe. Have a great, wonderful weekend. Enjoy yourselves, and hey, watch a lot of basketball and baseball and hockey and all that this weekend. And like you said, keep giving us those stories that you guys want to hear. And let's talk about, like I said, the other side of it. Like you said, how it impacts us socially, how it impacts us mentally, and just how we personally feel about certain situations. Yeah. And I'm gonna end it on this. I hope the Lakers lose tonight.
There he go. I'm over here looking.
The Lakers lose tonight. I'm hoping the Lakers lose tonight. So
they down with have everybody on the court. I'm looking at these Trailblazers, and they need to figure something out in a minute and 24 seconds because Denver has got them right now.
Yeah, man. Dame can't do it by himself. I know McCollum and them trying, but I hope they can pull it off. But if they lose, please let them Lakers lose. That's all I want tonight. Let the Lakers lose.
Folks, we're going to end on that. Salute. We appreciate y'all. Be good to yourself and be good to everyone around you. We out.